Hello, everyone. Hope we're all doing well. This is, we're doing something new on stream today. I think this is not really something that I do typically, but I think doing on stream might actually be beneficial because it would help keep me motivated and give me a chance to work on it. I do have a goal to do a certain number of streams this year, and I probably could do it just playing video games, but I think that would be a little bit uninteresting. Well, it'd be perfectly, there's no problems with it in terms of being interesting. It would be perfectly interesting, and I don't think it'd be that much trouble either. But on the other hand, I think I can produce different types of content on stream, and so I would really like to. I don't do web dev really, or in my job, and I don't really do programming. I've never really done programming outside my work, but I've made websites before. None of them, besides my personal website, which is just a static web page, none of the websites I made in the past are currently live. I took them down because I didn't want to pay hosting costs and just because I was bored of them. But they are like on my GitHub. So this isn't going to be a very interesting like technical journey. I'm going to use pretty basic technologies, but I think it'll be an interesting basis for streaming. And I think this what I have planned is something that can realistically be delivered and that can be enjoyed by people who like my channel or just people in general. Today, we're going to start by creating a plan, and I'm going to outline roughly what needs to be done and how I kind of see it playing out. I probably am not going to be motivated. Well, maybe once I get started, I'll be motivated enough to work on this off stream, and then on stream I can like work on it a bit and kind of do progress updates. But historically, it's been a bit difficult for me to motivate to work on personal projects, and especially getting started on them. I was like, maybe I should work a bit on, maybe I should figure out some stuff off stream. I was having some trouble getting motivated to do that. I was just like, okay, let's do a stream to do the plan, right? And that'll get me going, and at least I'll have specific things that I can do if I do want to work on it off stream. Okay. So, what is this idea? And I do need to make this quite big. I do have to keep that in mind. My window is constrained by fitting the dimensions of the stream. But I mean, this should be plenty. I don't think you need a lot of on-screen information. What is the plan that we're trying to make? The idea is to make a Wikipedia guessing game in the style of the Wordle, like daily DLE type games, right? And I, the essential premise is just to say, take a line from Wikipedia, and specifically, it's a sentence. Oops. So the format of the game, the essential task is to show that you know some trivia. We're going to take a sentence from Wikipedia. We're going to remove a single word, and the game is to guess what that word is. There's a couple of different specific ways to approach this. So one example that I had originally was just like we could make this a very like recurrent or like Markov chain type of approach, like very early neural net type of approach where it is just any word. You remove a word and then you kind of use your own mind to probabilistically guess what the most likely word for what the most likely word to appear in that space is. Thinking about it a little bit more, I think a more logical way, and probably the way that I'm going to be aiming to create this game, at least in the beginning, is to say you take a line in a Wikipedia article that contains the title of the article. Then you hide that and you have to guess what article it came from, right? based on a sentence that contains the title of the article. So, for example, it'll be something like, Buckingham Palace. There would be a line that was like, it was built in, I have no idea, like 1400, I don't know, 1450 under the direction of this architect, right? You take out Buckingham Palace, and then the player would have to guess Buckingham Palace in that space. All the games, there's a couple of different ways you could do this. All of them are a repetition of that core idea of taking out one word and putting and filling it back in. And the way to and the specifics of the game can come later, but we're going to build up in stages creating this game, and I think it could be really quite straightforward. So here's the architecture that I have in mind. There's going to be a simple backend, which includes the web scraping, and the game logic. Um, we'll use Python to do web scraping, since that's a pretty familiar task in that language. And we'll implement the game logic in Python and create JSON output, for example, that has the different sentences and annotations for where the kind of relevant guessing words are, so we can hide them and verify the input answers, right? And then this will be completely separated from the simple front end. Very straightforward. Something else, and so on a technical sense, so there's really three components to this. There's the back end, the front end, and then there'll probably be a lot about like game design. How do I make this a compelling game? How do I balance the difficulty and so forth? I haven't really advanced the game to that level, so it's not something I've done before, and it's probably not something that I'm going to get right very quickly. But the nice thing about this is I'll have a lot of opportunities to experiment. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. One example that I might not write down. Well, I guess I'll write it down. Excuse me. One thing that I was considering today is that this could be potentially like a micro game format where you're presented with a series of different word challenges in a row. So, for example, one of them might be you don't have you have a sentence from that article without the article's title in that sentence, and you have to guess what the article it came from. Another challenge could be you get a full sentence from an article that doesn't have the article's title, and you have to guess what article it came from. Another possibility is you get one piece of information and you know what categories the Wikipedia page belongs to, and you try and guess what page it belongs to, right? And I think there's a couple of different ways to experience it, to present this challenge that could be quite interesting. Something else that I'm kind of thinking about that's more about rambling than anything technical related is I think it's kind of important to give back to Wikipedia and not just like scrape it and make my little game. I think as I work on this, it would also be good to keep editing Wikipedia, that is to say, contributing towards Wikipedia. I actually have contributed to Wikipedia in the past. I've thought about doing something related to that on stream. I kind of don't want a situation where like I'm streaming myself editing an article and then somehow like people the the fact that I'm like working on this article encourages people to go grief it. I feel like that would be really problematic. I don't think I have like enough of an audience base or like a rowdy audience to really make that a problem. So I might edit Wikipedia on stream as content for some later streams and as like a way of contributing to this project that I'm going to be taking a lot from as I work on this game that I'm trying to make. Okay. So this is all the stuff that's been in my head. Again, very much not a lot. But I think the ideas and like the details will come naturally as we work on it more. Uh, Something else perhaps is that I don't really do personal projects, even though I'm a career computer programmer. I haven't historically done personal projects, but because I've made websites before, well, not all the technologies I'm using are going to be familiar to me, but it's going to be a pretty basic tech stack that I'll be somewhat comfortable in. But at the same time, it's going to be almost all technologies that I don't use day to day. So I think there'll be a nice balance of me figuring stuff out for the first time, but also having like a clue of roughly what it's going to be. What's the stack going to be? I can elaborate a little bit more. The backend is going to be Python, specifically with libraries. It's with I mean, I guess this is even like completely obvious, but it's I don't think I'll need anything besides beautiful soup and requests. Um, the last time I made websites, I used React Native on my friend's recommendation. I was thinking that this time I was going to use Vue.js. Previously, I don't really have any strong opinions about React because I'm not an experienced web developer. Um, it really was just going with something. I thought it was perfectly fine. It was a little bit verbose, and maybe I would have some benefit from sticking with React, but I do want to try something different and something simple if at all possible. Um, let's see. One thing I did before is with any like microservices that I ran that I created last time, I was running them as React apps, or I was using like the JavaScript backend like microservice like service architecture. Um, in this case, on the front end, uh, like I guess this is like the batch backend, and then this is like the web front end, and then the web backend. I'll probably use like Flask for services. Um, just probably work in Python as much as possible, and only use uh, JavaScript for like the presentation layer. This is just to create a very, and I think this is the front end is going to be such a thin layer that it'll be easily portable if necessary. Okay, but yeah, let's get right into it and start making our little scraper. I don't write Python day to day, and in fact, it's going to take me a little bit to remember I need to set up a virtual environment. Uh, so let me remind myself how to do that. Okay. I do not remember how to do these things. Ah! Okay. Permission Denied. Geez, I don't even remember how to start this virtual environment. Let me see. Ah, yes. Okay, lovely. How's the guessing game going to work? I talked about this earlier in the planning, but the idea is we're going to take a sentence from Wikipedia and remove a single word, and it'll be incumbent on the player to guess what that missing word is going to be. Okay. Please use beautiful soup. 4. Okay. I haven't used this package in a while. Cool. And let's see. Let's use the article of the day for testing. Thank you. Yeah, I think one thing that excites me about making this project is that this is very much something that I'm interested in playing myself, and that I think would be very entertaining for myself to have. Okay, great. These, let's see. And I can't remember if you're just supposed to pipe in like r.text directly into beautiful soup, but let's just try it and see if it works. Okay, it does seem to be well structured. Wonderful. Okay, so I won't be sharing my browser, which is going to be a little bit maybe challenging for comprehension, but I can share the HTML of what we're interested in. Let's see. So the one thing that's nice is the Wikipedia HTML is very nicely structured. Is the removed word going to be completely random? The way that I'm operating right now, Soham, is I'm assuming that I'm going to start with just sentences that contain the title of the article that we're trying to guess. And I'm going to remove just the title from that sentence, right? Yeah. So I think restricting it to the title makes sure that it's a very interesting word that gets removed. And in fact, it's the most important word for the title. I think that's going to be a really good starting point, and that kind of pushes off a lot of the game design aspects to later, because there definitely could be other words that are like very useful. Another way that you could play this game is what I was about to say about Wikipedia's HTML is they also specifically flag when there's an outgoing link. to another web page, you could make it so that you have to guess what the outgoing page link is and not what the article is about. So you have to know about like relationships between things. Okay. So I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Maria Turbnikova, which is today's article of the day. And for example, I see, it's a good way to copy this. There's not a good way for me to copy this over. Let me see. Okay, I guess what I'll just do is I'll process what I see, and then we'll look at it in the console. Okay. Soup dot. Let me see. S dot find all, and we'll look for so sometimes information. So here, okay, that information is in a div. It looks like all the body paragraphs are stored in P. So this should give us an array with every paragraph. Yeah, I'm glad I can get it correct. My name is Ariana. Okay, this is what we're looking for. Let's see. Okay, so let's restrict it. I'm to div ID body content. Okay, so let's filter down to S ID. Okay, so the ID equals body content. I believe if we do body.findAll, then this, I was printing the wrong thing anyways. So okay, great. This looks good. There's a lot of inline content that is, again, included in Wikipedia, which is going to be helpful. Right now, it's going to be a little bit challenging to parse in text. But you can see, for example, here, right? This is a paragraph, and it begins with some text. In 1863, Turbnikova, Stasova, and then this is a link to another article. See, it's a wiki link. Anna Engelhardt founded the Russian Women's Publishing Cooperative. Then there is a citation superscript. So we're not going to be interested in the superscripts, but we do want this text plus any outgoing links. We want the text from those links. And then there's going to be, I think, a lot of other different cases that we have to handle to make sure we're always getting coherent text. One advantage, if I'm just going to create like a new puzzle each day, is that I can personally vet to make sure that we're processing the data correctly. Certainly there's going to be a lot of unpredictable corner cases. But on the other hand, of course, being able to play infinitely is quite nice. So my next goal, I think, is to try and clean this up so that we just have the text. And so we can just kind of print and have it just be as if we had all the text in this Wikipedia article, maybe even with the section headings, and we can just read it line by line. Select interpreter. This one. We're in the virtual environment. Is selected. Please start changing it. Invalid is selected. Well, I'll deal with that later. Okay. So the way to do that, I believe, is a dot string. Okay. And let me think. Features equals. Sure, I'll do that. And then the rest is none. Find all p. P dot string is empty. Dot p class soup dot a. Now I'm wondering why it is that it's reporting there's no text in most of these. Find all dot get. I mean, an alternative is there's also a way to get text. I want to just see what this would be. I do have a degree. I have a computer science degree from college in the U.S. Yeah, and I mentioned that in the introduction that I also do computer science. I do computer science professionally. It's been 8 years now. But at work, I do something very, very different from what I'm doing now. Obviously, more complicated, and I don't do anything related to web development at any point through my career. So web development is only ever something I've done as a very rudimentary hobby. Oh, that's the wrong place for that. Hello. What's your name? Hello, Samuel. Okay, that's actually quite close. So that does mean that I can reverse engineer whatever get text is doing and find the same result. You know what? Let's see if I can do that. Is everything programmed in here? Text, all strings, self. As for essence, self to all strings strip, okay? All strings. tag and navigable string. Okay. Go to references. Learn how to code in 2025. I think I was tutoring at the computer science. I was tutoring at the community college near where I live most recently, and I didn't really have a chance to give career advice. I think it's relevant that you ask about in 2025 because I think a lot of people are getting spooked about like what the industry looks like these days. I do think though that despite kind of the challenges in the programming like software engineering industry, I still think that learning how to code is remarkably useful. Even if a job doesn't have like a requirement for knowing how to program, certainly knowing how to program can allow you to accomplish a lot. It can be a tool that you use to like solve different problems. And I do think that there are still a lot of like marketable positions that you could do through programming, right? I think very much, regardless of like if you're on a degree track or not, I think learning to code is a really useful skill. I don't usually do personal projects, and I think it's not going to contribute a lot to my career whether or not I like know how to do web development better, but I'm doing this in part as a way to like kind of sharpen my skills and make sure that I can do things like make and then upload a website because I think that's a valuable skill to have and it can be useful for a bunch of different things, right? Not just for things related to work, but also if I wanted to make like a video and I wanted there to be like a website or an interactive component, being able to do that is, I think, nice to be able to. Um, Being able to read code is also really valuable, and it's something that you pick up as you learn to code, like I'm doing now, trying to reverse engineer how this method works. But this probably isn't the right approach. I think I should just learn how to do it from like in a basic way. I still don't understand why I titled p dot name. Every tag has a name. Adders. Yeah, so Ham, I agree too. I think even if it is difficult for some people, some new graduates in computer science to find a job, and some people are finding their skills like aren't as much a guaranteed job as before. Uh, it is something that can be of huge benefit. I to put it another way, if a high school student, for example, in the U.S. came to me and was like, "I'm not sure what to study," I would say, if you can bear to program, that's what I would recommend. I applied to Soham says I applied to colleges for computer engineering because I figured it was just CS but a bit broader and thus more safe. Yeah, that seems totally reasonable. Okay, so it seems like I might just be able to do p dots, wrap it, and make it a string. I mean, it's helpful. P class P P. Okay, let me be more specific about which paragraphs I want. Let's see if there's like a div role note. P style. What are good tools for learning the basics? Um, Let me see. It's I'm not a computer science educator. The way that personally I never Um, I didn't actually start programming until I entered college. So pretty much like in high school and middle school, I had hardly written any code. I like experimented with a little bit of Java in my high school years when I was like, maybe I should um, pick up this as a skill. But I like wrote three short programs, right? Didn't do anything extensive. So I started in college. The way that I started learning programming was I actually, before I signed up for my first computer science class, a lot of people around me in college were in computer science. So to prepare for doing that class, I looked up the class website online and I like looked at the notes, I watched the lectures, and I did some of the projects and homeworks. That's a pretty advanced way to do it, but I think that that is also a pretty effective way if you can keep up with it, which is you look up your local universities like computer science classes, and then you say what's the name of the course for your like the basic computer science class that everyone starts out with, and you just watch the lectures, you start doing the homeworks, and you see how far you can get yourself. um, and that I think is a good way to also like prepare you if you do eventually take that class, if you're kind of preparing yourself to go to college. I think Soham's ideas are really good. I understand that there's a lot of websites that are like pretty good at teaching people how to code by people who like are computer science educators. I'm not personally familiar with those websites, I guess, because again, I learned to code 10 plus years ago and I was in a very good environment for it. I think YouTube could also be very promising as well. I'm sure there's a lot of really good tutorials for it. I would just say probably I don't know. It's like different answers depending on whether or not you think you're going to be taking formal classes for it. I do think formal classes can benefit you quite a bit. Um, but I would probably just say, picking one or two resources and following them for like a longer period of time over several lessons, and also making sure that you're hands-on coding yourself, programming yourself, and experimenting with things that are not just shown to you. I think all of those are really valuable, and that's how I would kind of encourage someone to get started if I were in that spot. Let's see. Um, so this is actually okay. That's closer to just the core text of the article. Need to keep on. I think I just need to keep on reading the documentation. Content. If a tag contains more than one thing, it's not clear what dot string should refer to. Dot strings. Okay, so let me see. Just to reiterate, what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to get a more clean representation of the string in this article. Dot. Okay, so string doesn't work because most of it is none, but there's a generator for strings. So I'm actually going to do it like this. P3 strings print. Okay, great. That's really good. What does this say? Is this the full sentence? Orphan, she married at age 19, and her fan. So only woman, salon in St. Petersburg. And if I compare this to the article, this is this article. She became the center of feminist activism. Okay, great. So if I just paste these all together, that will give each body paragraph. Learn Rust. Is it worth it? I think Rust is very challenging to start learning programming with. I've toyed around with it, and I usually for work mostly work in Java Kotlin, which is kind of weird, but I have a little bit of trouble getting my head around Rust. I think Python is a very common first language and language used in computer science education for a reason. That's what I started out learning with, and that's what I would recommend as well. I think learning Rust can make you a much more competent like systems OS programmer down the line, as I understand it. But it's there's a lot of more nuanced computer science concepts for someone who's just starting out. Um, to I guess I think to use an example, like this project that I'm doing now is the type of thing that's like the capstone for like a first course in computer science. Um, and I think kind of it's not very sophisticated, but it's like kind of attuned to that skill level. And I think like this is it's like yeah, I think being able to create something like this is kind of like where you want to be after your first one or two computer science classes. Um, and using Python, you can see that I'm kind of just like getting right into it and like working with data structures and like working with control flow and like loops pretty quickly. And I think that's why people like to teach in Python. Okay, so what I can do, um, I think I just want to double nested loop for P. Okay. I think it'll be more readable if I do an actual loop instead of a list comprehension. A string for let's see. And it looks like the spaces are already included. Dot join. I can never remember this one. Python join. Okay, it is join. Right, so it's awesome. Okay, one problem that we have is it includes the citations. They're being counted as strings. Um, so we'll want to find a way to remove those as well. Okay, let me see what they are. Let's see, in the Wikipedia article, these are included as superscripts. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hope you gave some useful feedback for you, Samuel. So we need a way to exclude the superscripts from scraping. I think p.strings. So let's just give the strings. P. Paragraph. P. Let me see. So I need a different way to iterate. I think what I want is p.contents or p.children. Okay. So 10. I'm going to delete all this. P 3 dot okay. So here, let's do like 15 dot contents. This is the infernal reference that we're getting. So we need to strip out anything that is superscript. The way to do that is item for item in if item dot, what's it called? Tag names. Item dot does not equal soup. You could totally do this in Java. This would be very doable in Java. Certainly. I think Python, I guess the reason for doing it in Java for Python, and it goes with, I think, the general like reasons why people prefer Python. It's a lot easier to just get started up, right? I don't have like a lot of experience like structuring larger Java projects. With Python, it's very straightforward to just make a script and start typing into it. Specifically, one reason why it's completely natural for me to use Python, and really I would use Python even if this wasn't true, but I'm familiar roughly with this web scraping library, Beautiful Soup. I'd used it before for like various different things, and I know it just like, as you can see, it works in a very friendly and intuitive way. So pretty much wanting to use this library meant that I was definitely going to use Python. I actually don't even know what like the web scraping equivalents in Java would be. So yeah, working in Python allows me to save that research. Okay, this gets rid of all the superscripts. So we can do for p and all p, p.strings, find all p. Filtered contents equals that right for item in p. No attribute strings because this is a list. Filter content. That's right. So I guess I can just do filter contents dot string like this. None type found. So filter contents is a list of contents. Hold on. Let me see what this looks like again. And what is the type of each of these? Okay, obviously it's a list. It's a navigable string. Okay. Okay, so I think I just do stir. Okay, great. Now, here we have other types of tags, which are different because we want to keep what's inside of them. Okay. Let me see. Responsible for the education system as the Minister of National Enlightenment. Okay. Um, so and I don't know if there's like a better way to do this now. Switch. There's other languages have different ways of doing like switch based on type. But let me see. Does Python have pattern matching now? It was called a it's called like a BS4. Is this anything? I feel like I've never written a switch statement, a match statement in Python before. I don't even know if it can do what I'm trying to do here. All right, we're just going to do the regular way. I mean, does this even... For item. Hold on. Okay. Let me look at this again. Filtered 0. Do you have a name? Good question. So this is done in the example of these like games like Wordle, where there's like a word that you guess every day and every day it changes. That's the most famous version of these games. Sometimes these games are colloquially referred to as the doles because they tend to have a name using the DLE suffix. A very natural way then of naming this game would be Wikipedole, or Wikidole, something like that. But it's obviously very challenging to enunciate and pronounce that name. So I haven't decided yet. I'm not going to think very much about it until later on. Maybe I'll come up with something. It could be as simple as just Wikipedia guessing game or something. Right now, I'm just approaching it as like a technical exercise. And yeah. And again, just I've been a little bit quiet, but the thing that I'm trying to do right now is isolate this text and make sure that we bring it out in line with the rest of the text. Filtered T 0. So 0 is a text, and then 1 is PS4 element.tag. Okay. And then is there a string builder concept in Python? Okay. So else if or elif. Hold on though. Just fill that in with some nonsense. Tag dot string. So it's dot string instead of stir. Okay. Join. Expected string since none type found. Okay. So comment all this out. Let's see what this list is coming out to be. In the far east of the Russian Empire and None. Okay, what is going on there? Page does not exist. Okay, I'll just ignore the nuns then. Well, I guess it would be good to know. Camille Liddon 2. Why is the next one a nun? Span. Are you? No print. It's a span class no print. Filtered contents. Okay, so if dot class think that should fix our problem. Class. Hmm. Oh, wait. Okay. Then can you just select it like this? String indices. It's a string. Okay. Here we go. So that goes here. If, geez. There's still a none. Ah. Okay. Let me see. Quote, close quote, open quote, quote. This is, okay. This is one item, close quote. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, here's another one. 10. Print strings. Okay, and I need to skip the first two. Okay, why am I getting two with new lines to begin with? Find all P if filtered contents. If p dot class this is the nature of web scraping tasks, at least in the way that I approach them, which is there's a lot of trial and error to conform to the format that you expect. Pass or continue. We're just going to skip that one. N. Empty out. Continue. Am I forgetting what continue means? Hold on. You empty out. Isn't this what I have? It is. How do I skip this? Function has adder. Am I missing something? Oh, that's weird. It's a list. Why would it be a list? I don't know. Because it's a multi-valued attribute. It's a list of values. All attributes will be given as a single value. Okay, I want that. Okay. Oh my goodness. Come on. Quit. And not interactively. Yeah, I did mean. Okay, great. Skipping the empties. That's good. Okay. And also we can use the find all. We could do it a little bit differently, but I won't bother. Let's just keep on working here. Okay. Print strings. It's fine. This looks fine. What's the problem again? Let me see. Okay. There is a none type right before the join. So don't print the paragraph. Just print the strings and we can look for this none type. Okay. Here we go. So we're back here. This is the none type. Try. Okay. Try. Oh. Don't even remember how to handle errors in Python. Exceptions. It's try except. Okay. Except type error. Get the type error. Print strings. Okay. And then I said strings 10 is the problem string. It's none. And then prints Olga for some reason, which is weird. Print strings 9. Oh, okay. So this is doing it twice because we get a type error twice. This is the first one that I'm interested in. Silly none. Strings 10. This is the none. Okay. What's the type of this? Is it a tag again? I can't remember. No, it's just a none. No, it's a none type. So I need to trace what's happening on the 10th word. Which one of these is giving none? Item. Item 10. Or I want filtered contents 10. It's this thing. This span. It's a span. Aha. Okay. So I think this just indicates to us that we want to exclude spans. If it's item.class equals no print, which I thought would... Okay, so let's keep rolling back. what is the type of this? It is a tag. It should go here. If class is an item, and the class of the item is no print. I mean, the class of the item, it should be no print. This is a tag 10. Is no print. Continue. It's kind of fortunate that you can't see all the things I'm Googling, because I'm Googling some very simple things. Okay. So for each item, continue, go on to the next item. Should work, right? It's not picking up. It's not picking up the no print. If B type. Just go by type. Okay, great. I guess this is easier then. Oh, is that because because of this? None type object is not callable. What? Ah, okay. It's like this. Okay, so that does work. So you can't use in for that. Yeah, that makes sense, actually. That makes tremendous sense. Okay, great. Let's try printing the paragraph again. See what we get. That looks really good. Great. And by changing this logic, we can ensure that we have a way to recover the information about what the outgoing links are. So for people that are around right now, to summarize what we've accomplished, the goal is to create a Wikipedia guessing game. One example of how it would work is you take a sentence from Wikipedia, you take out one word from it, and then you have someone guess what that word might be. Today, I was going off the article of the day about Maria Trubnikova, and my goal was just to, from the HTML document, extract just the text, right? This gives us a list of sentences that we can use to propose to the to the reader, to the player. I think maybe a good stopping point is let's make it so that we can actually kind of play the game in the console for a fixed article. I think that would be a really good stopping point. I think that's achievable in the next 30 to 40 minutes or so. Okay. So let me show you what I mean by that. Inspect. There's a span. We're going to extract. Okay, so this is getting, this is getting the text. And I'm not, this will all be rolled into functions eventually. Right now, I'm just keeping it constrained to, I'm just doing it all in a script that runs once. Okay, the way to do this is s.find id mw page title main. Make sure I'm using single quotes everywhere. I think it's just .text. James. Yeah, thank you. I well, I don't love web dev, to be honest. It's something that I don't do in my personal job, and it's something that I've done very little of overall. I do like Wikipedia a lot. I have edited Wikipedia, and I'll probably stream myself editing Wikipedia later. I mentioned earlier that I have some hesitation because I don't want to like be editing a page on stream and have people encouraged to go and grief that Wikipedia page. But I think I have a pretty small viewer base, and I think people who are watching me are going to be pretty well behaved. If it's a problem, I'll definitely stop it, but I think that would be interesting content because a lot of my other streams are about researching various topics. And I've edited Wikipedia before too. Print. What's this? Okay, so it's none type. So I actually didn't find it, which is interesting. ID. Because it's a class. Hold on. I guess it doesn't work like that. Is there any other way to do this? Oh, I guess I can do H1. I can do ID first heading. MW content. Huh, so it is an ID. Okay. Let's see. Inspect. So it's dot. Then the child of this or heading. Dot contents should be under heading dot contents 0. That's the span dot text. Great. Okay. Okay, and I should make sure that this works with another article. Let's do YouTube. Why not? And so this is just making sure that our code is sufficiently modular and that we haven't overfitted to the article of the day. So hopefully this will print YouTube and then the first, let's say, 8 paragraphs of the article. Dang. Okay, so there's another type of none type exception that we have to handle. So let's see what that looks like. Hopefully there aren't boundless numbers of these types of exceptions and special cases that we have to handle. So one of these should be none right here. Factoring YouTube streaming data. Okay, looks like it should just be another, citation. Okay, it's a citation, but it's contained in, I'm actually not sure why we didn't grab it. Whoops. Let me see. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sharing my browser where I'm like inspecting all the elements. Oh, whoops. Okay, no, that's not what I meant. Okay, I accidentally messed with the monetization settings. Usually I don't let YouTube insert mid-roll ads to minimize the number of ads, but it looks like I might have accidentally allowed YouTube to freely add ads whenever it wants. So I do apologize if you get any ads above the rate of what you've been getting so far. I accidentally clicked something in the UI. But what I was saying is that I'm inspecting in a browser in a different window, but I'm not sharing that window because it's a browser window. It's like I'm logged into it and stuff. So I'm kind of doing the work and like parsing the HTML tree in on the Wikipedia webpage in a separate window that you can't see. Okay. By early 2013, Billboard had announced into streaming data into calculation of the none. Streaming data. Into calculation of the, and then the next thing, so it actually should say Billboard Hot 100. It's a link, but then the link is in italics because there's another element. Okay, I see. So I think the problem here is that it's probably not a navigable string. It's probably a tag. So here's what I'm going to do. If item.name I print item. print stir item. Billboard. So it should just be I billboard. Of the Billboard Hot 100. Let me see. I might have to revisit this. It's not immediately apparent to me. It's not immediately apparent to me why this none is occurring. And what's more, we can't just strip out all the nuns because there is actually supposed to be content there. A ref of the, okay, so the item is actually A. Wait, what's the issue? Yeah, so my goal right now is to make this be well formatted, like just the text without any tags or like formatting tags. So it's just pure sentences. And because of the way that I'm joining together the strings, whenever I'm not handling one of the cases properly, a none will show up and it'll throw this error. So I'm trying to figure out what in the HTML tree is not being handled properly and throwing this none. And I believe I think it's just true that it is related to this construction right here. It's causing problems. So normally when there's a link, a hyperlink, we want to take this that is inside the hyperlink. So we take that's item.string. But in this case, there's more than just a dot string. There's special contents that needs to be further parsed. That might have to be parsed recursively. Are you using the Wikipedia API directly? That's a good idea. Wikipedia API can just give you text. I've genuinely never even thought to try using that. It can almost certainly give me what I'm thinking of. What's my plan? I think what I'll do, James, that's a really good tip. Maybe I'll I'll look at that off stream and then do like a Wikipedia API implementation starting at the beginning of next stream. It should suffice for what I want because what I want is really quite basic. But I think let me try and reach the starting point I was going to with what I'm working on, the stopping point that I was going to today, and I'll again pick that up next stream for sure. Okay, I'm not going to quite figure this out. I'll reach the stopping point with the first article, which can be parsed correctly, which will happen pretty soon, I think, and then I'll wrap it up and yeah, look at the Wikipedia API and examine that and get my API token and all that off stream. Okay. Great. So here's what I'm going to do. That's 8 paragraphs. I have the title. The thing left to do is do I'll do paragraphs. I'll then join the paragraphs and then split it on period. So that means each item will be a sentence. And then I'll filter the sentences based on whether or not they include the title. What's that title variable called? Graphs. Join paragraphs. Okay, that is not what I was expecting. Guess if I'm using single quotes. Paragraphs. The title is in sentences. That's why. Wait, no, that's not right at all. In sentence. Okay, those do look like a bunch of sentences. What did it extract as the title? Okay, if it's printing something else, I was getting confused about it. I think that's what's happening. Okay. So I think the problem is that no sentence in this article has the full name of the person. So I'll have to find a different article. Like the shaken area seems to be something that's in the news. And this should work. Let's try this. Schengen area. Ah, no. Ah, can't parse all the other can't parse all the other arbitrary pages. If they're too long, they'll include some unfamiliar tag. Oh my gosh, it's going to happen to every article, isn't it? Okay, the jorts page is on the front page. Surely there's no processing error here. Okay, great. So here's the inclusion. Is it just a function call, or did I do that wrong? Don't need that one. Ah, yes. Okay, yeah, it is a function call. It's not just an attribute. Yeah, good. Yep. So this is I think that's why I wanted to reach this as a stopping point, because I think this demonstrates what the game can be. I'm So let's kind of go over everything real quick before I conclude, especially since James, you're around and you joined part of the way through. Um, so there's a lot of games like Wordle that have like a new challenge every day. Some of these are word games, some of these are trivia games. This is more on the trivia game side of things. We're going to take a sentence from Wikipedia that includes the word that's the title of the article and take out that word, and you have to guess what that word is. But there's other ways that we can do this too. Another thing that I'm contemplating is we could do like a micro game format where there's a bunch of different Wikipedia related challenges. So maybe for one, you have to guess what the title is. Maybe another challenge is we give you a sentence that doesn't have what the title is, and you still have to guess what the article is. Or we'll show you the categories that an article belongs to, and you have to guess what the title is, right? Or maybe even it could be something like we give you we give you like a list of categories, and then the challenge is to submit as many things as possible that fit into all those categories, right? There's a lot of data included inside of Wikipedia, and that can be used to create little games like this. Today we were working on the batch backend, which is the way that I was implementing it, web scraping in Python, and implementing the game logic to kind of create a structured format for those puzzles, right? So one example of the structured object would include the sentence, and it would include what word should be hidden and the expected answer, right? And then there would be a very simple front end that would read those flat files, and it would display the game logic. The point of doing this is, well, I'm not very familiar with JavaScript, so it's just to implement all the game logic and like generation and scraping on the back end and letting that run independently to the front end. And so today what we did is just using a bit of Python, getting used to the scraping approach, which is maybe not the approach that we're going to be going with, but creating a little demo of what we're trying to accomplish. On the one hand, we do have something that catches a lot of cases, and for shorter articles, we're able to correctly parse them and get all the text out in just plain text, and get the title and strip out the title. But clearly there's a lot of different formats, and Wikipedia is very deliberately structured. There's a lot of formats where we're getting an error and I need to chase down what's causing that error. But of course, James's suggestion is that we should just use the Wikipedia API, which I'm going to look into. And if it can just give me the text, that'd be fantastic. Although now that I think about it, we still might have to go back to this approach, because for some of the games that I'm planning, it's important to know what the outgoing links are and to have them flagged as outgoing links. So on the one hand, it's like we want just the text, but we don't want only the text. We still need some of that syntactical information. Very comfortable with JavaScript front end. Okay, very cool. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you very much. Uh, and I'll let you know if that's necessary. I think that'd be really cool. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I think this went really fantastic. Actually, this is my first time kind of coding on stream, and I'm encouraged by the feedback. I really enjoy the chat participation. So thanks, James. Thanks, Soham and Samuel. I'll see you all next time, and I'll probably be doing this at least once a week, given how well received it's been. So take care, everyone.